and welcome to another video. In today's video we're going to talk about rammed earth and open sourcing plans to the world, basically. So I've had a plan to build my property with rammed earth since before I bought it. The biggest holdback with rammed earth construction is there's no standardized plans or code, pre-existing code. So everything has to be done with engineering stamp of approval. And my plan is this, or my concept, plan, whatever you want to call it. I'm thinking it just starts with a website, right? Something like rammed earth open source code or something like this, .org. It's not a company, right? And the objective is to get engineered plans to rammed earth housing that are to code specific for basically everywhere in the world, right? So I'm going to start with Oregon because here I am. And that's been the biggest holdup for me in this whole process is the engineering. This is going to be, it's a very expensive proposition to hire architects and engineers, right? So now when you combine that with the types of people that could really benefit from this type of building, they're not the same type of people that can afford architects and engineers, right? So you have, tens of thousands or, millions or whatever off-grid communities across the world, and America the same. And my experience in Oregon, when in the licensing office or the building permit office in Crook County, Oregon, was, basically when I'm saying I want to build with fireproof materials, the whole time before we ever had a fire, I've been worried about fire and desiring to build without using flammable materials. Now, I probably would have used a little more flammable materials in my place had this place not burned down, but at this point I'm trying to figure out how to build these places with none. Like they can't burn, like impossible, right? Because a lot of people use wood in the roof, and yeah, that'll burn then if it has wood. And a lot of times they're using this kind of wood that's those same beams that I had all built in my stuff that just burns like, holy cow, that shit burns. And it's full of glue, right? So super dense material, burns real hot. So anyway, the plan is to start with the website and then go to a crowdsource funding site, right? And set up or actually no. First I got to figure out how much it's going to cost to hire the architect and the engineer. Then I got to start the crowdsourcing to pay for that. Now, the concept of this building is basically it's like a basic house, right? That is built with passive solar theory and rammed earth construction with no burning materials, okay? Now, the concept is this. It's like expandable, right? So there's this like one shape, a form shape that you have the form. So you acquire the materials you need, wood. This is where the wood comes in, to build this one shape, right? And this one shape is like a wall. You can put doors, windows, whatever you need. It's the pitch of the roof. And it's like a standardized shape wall thing, right? So you have this one form, and then you build this shape here, this shape here, this shape here. Then in between, that would be a secondary form that you would get all your connections in, right? This just saves money for having to have the forms for the entire build. Now, and this also makes it an expandable type thing. So, if you need a 2-bedroom, you do so many of these things. You need a 4-bedroom, you do this many more. You want more room, you just add more of these form shapes and just stack them all the way. And the houses are always going to be aligned with solar, passive solar orientation. So it's just like adding on to the end, just making it a longer, the depth will always be the same, the height will always be the same. It's just the length that can change depending on people's use case scenarios, right? Now with mine, I wanted to do those things on the end that points to all the mountains. So it wouldn't really fit in my own personal one, wouldn't really fit in this portion of the house, like the great room, kitchen, which is the whole house, is the whole property is focused, designed around that. Growing food, preserving food, cooking food, that's like the whole thing. So this, then I had conceptualized for mine, then using those same form structures and basically boxing in the mountains, right? So this one is kind of kicked off this way and one's kind of kicked off this way, and that whole view is of the mountains. Now that's kind of unique to my place, but it would be nice to have like architecture that can enable this kind of just simple alterations. So it's not just a total cookie cutter, like they all should be passively solar arranged, but if you have a view over here, a view over there, it'd be nice. Now, unfortunately, if you have a view behind where the sun and all this stuff, that becomes, a little bit complicated. But getting initially a very basic structure, nothing personal to what I'm looking for, except for the compartmentalizing of the situation, I think, is so you can expand it. Now, and then just having this old open source, right? So, initially we get Oregon. Now we have, this set of plans that you can just download for free, take right into the damn county and get it permitted or get it authorized or whatever, right? That's the plan. Because right now, everybody just builds with wood. So, and, they drive to get wood. Where I'm at, there's no wood to build with. So, every single bit of that flammable material is gotten a bunch of gas burned to get it in the first place out there. So, it's just not sustainable to build with wood in the area I am. But guess what we have a lot of? Dirt. And some very good dirt for this type of construction. Like excellent dirt for this type of construction. Now, see, the way this could work for off-grid communities is, okay, for instance, where I live is just full of freaking flammable shit. Like, everybody out there is just one fuck up away from going through the same shit that I did, because everything's flammable. Every single place out there. Everybody's. I think there's one Earthship, right? Oh, and that brings me to the Earthship point. Ooh, that's 2 points now. I'm stuck. Hopefully I can remember this. Oh. So, as a community, these forms could be purchased by the community. You could have people pitch in, and now you have these forms, and people all come together and work for a few hours and build out, a few hours every whatever. And then you could literally just go property to property to property and just transform everybody's property into fireproof dwellings, right? Like, nobody would have to have flammable shit anymore, right? And a lot of it, people just don't know. Everybody just, a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm just going to get a mobile home delivered out there. But those things burn up all the time out there too. Mobile homes have gone up, I don't know, as frequently as RVs have gone up. But, there's just constantly shit going up in flames out there and nothing that can be done about it. And they're just tickled pink to write you a fucking permit out of the office for some shit that'll burn down. Oh yeah, you drew your own plans with a bunch of flammable shit. You go right ahead. But no, if you want to build a fucking place that can't burn down, they're going to be like, oh, you need to pay and do all this. And that's what we got to get around. Okay. Now, so that made that point. Earthships, right? The reason Earthships, that they're great and all that, but you cannot get them permitted in Oregon, okay? So you take aspects, the solar, passive solar shit with Earthships, that's where it all started, and utilizing that technology, right? Utilizing all the technologies that you can and just scrapping what you can't, okay? Like, I have a whole property that's devoted to raising food. I don't really need my house to raise food. I'm going to have a ginormous freaking geothermal earth battery greenhouse that'll produce all the food I need to produce. So I don't need to produce food in the house, right? And another thing with the Earthships is they're not a one and done, right? They're a lay out tires, pound them in, lay out tires, pound them in, lay out tires, pound them in. Once you get that whole structure in there, then you got the backside you got to deal with embanking walls. And then you got the inside you got to deal with. You got multiple layers of stuff you got to put on those walls. Boop, 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 before they're freaking finished. And you can't even live in there. You're living with tires. Look up crumb rubber if you want to know why I don't want to live with tires. Once it's covered, who cares? But, like, it's just not a one and done, like rammed earth. Like, you put a form together, you ram the earth in there, you pull it apart, you've got your walls, outer walls, inner walls, structural, everything done. One shot. Beautiful. Like, and fucking will last for 500 years and will not burn, period. Okay? So, this is now what I'm doing. I do a lot of things. I have a lot of things going on all the time. It's just the way I have to be. And this is now something that I'm adding and that I'm going to finance up to the point as far as I can. But basically, it's just like, I've bitched at the state and I've done this and that, but this is the only way I can really see to just go around the state and just, fine. What are your rules? We'll get architects. But then it's only one time. It's not like every single person in the damn world that wants a fucking fireproof solar passive house has to freaking go have a whole set of plans drawn up every time. Peace.